What is up, Podheads? Back with another episode of the Podioslave podcast. I am Tony. I am joined, as always, for the most part by Anthony, and as always, for the most part by Nate. The three of us are back together.
Still here, never left. Nate, you're back. And Tone corrected me last time. You're not a guest.
Yeah, you're not a guest.
I mean, a guest is not a bad thing. Guest, it's like guest list.
Your guest list tonight. We let you in for free.
He'd sneak in anyway. It wouldn't matter. He'd find a way in. He'd find
a way in, yeah, that's true.
He'd find the Zoom. We use Zoom, little inside baseball if anyone gives a shit. Nate would find the link.
We did used to use Skype, and I actually listened to a bit of an interview that we did on Skype over the phone today, just for, I don't even know why. I just found it. I was like, I haven't listened to this in a while. It was the Scott Russo, Josh Freese story that we posted on our Instagram page forever ago about Up All Night, the drum fill at the beginning of Up All Night. So, yeah, we did used to use Skype, but we're on Zoom now.
Nate, so what's new, man? It's been a month since we've chatted, maybe? Not even.
Yeah, not even.
2 weeks?
No, we did the
weeks?
Blink episode. Yeah.
Yep, nerded out with Blink, nerded out on some gigs. Now we're going to nerd out on some other stuff. So, yeah, I'm always nerding. We're always nerding behind the scenes regardless. So, yeah.
ABN, always be nerding, right?
Yeah.
So if you're here from what do we have recently? We had the Blink episode. So if you're come back from that episode or the Chris Link main hardcore episode, we welcome you. And this episode will probably have nothing to do with any of those themes or bands. No,
yes, true. There probably won't be anything necessarily tied to those two topics, maybe. But some of the things that were talked about in the Chris episode may pop up. Seeing shows, going to stuff. I think that's usually what happens, right? I mean, we usually talk about that shit.
I'm picking up what you're dropping, and I didn't think of them when prepping for this episode. This band changed my life. That's the theme we're gonna get to. But before that, I get something a little special for you guys.
All right, I'm excited.
Special treat.
Yeah, I know you teased this earlier in the group text.
I teased that I was going to bring something back, and I think we've done this a couple times, but I didn't tell you guys what. So I prepared a little mini segment before the segment. So
nice. If
you're a fan of the pod from way back, you will absolutely recognize this. And I think, Tony, you brought this to the forefront. I don't know. If you can remember the episode, then you have a better memory than I do. But band name, Real or Fake. It's coming back.
Man, I almost said that too. I almost said, is it band name Real or Fake?
I didn't give you a chance to even respond.
I love it. Let's go, man.
So this was prompted because I saw a band and I was like, oh, Jesus, that is a perfect band name, Real or Fake band. And it's going to be in the mix here. So the premise is, if you're new, I say a band name and you have to guess whether it's real or fake. If you couldn't tell by the name.
I get that. That makes sense to me. As the creator of this game, I do remember that. I love this game. I've come up with so many fake band names and then went to like Google them to make sure if they're actually fake band names. And I think we put a bunch out there over the course of time. We did a sports edition at one point, right? So we've done a few of these. I'm excited to see what you come up with this time, Twan.
Plus, you sent that what was it, that reel or TikTok with like the guy at the festival, and it's like half those band names. I'm like, that could be real.
Yeah, he jacked our steez, man.
People like that. We've been blazing trails since 2020. I mean, really before that, but 2020 when we started the pod, we've been blazing trails.
And I feel like with these segments, we have to throw out the disclaimer. This is not a knock. This is an observation of a unique band name. And you know what? I'm going to shoot them all bail. Most good band names are taken.
True.
They are. So what are you going to come up with? Like, look at our podcast name. Like, we just you find something that's Googleable, right? That's unique. And here we are. So, you guys ready to get into this?
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yep.
All right, first one. Football head.
I know this one.
Fake.
Real.
It is real. And this was the kind of genesis to bring this segment back. It's one word, football head. I don't know what they sound like. They're probably great. I have an idea, maybe Run for Cover Records-ish.
Yeah, probably.
But yes, so Tone, are we going to keep track of score here?
Yeah, I'm up 1-0.
Question on the name. Is it like a new metal type spelling? Is it FUTBOL?
No.
Head with an HED in a parentheses? No. Okay.
That's not new metal. That's like the English version.
Yeah.
American. American football.
Yeah.
So that is real. If you're into them, you know the name. If you're not, go check them out. Next one, football, etc.
Ooh, I'll go first this time. I think that's real.
What do you think, Nate? And you can agree. Like, you can have the same answer.
I'm gonna go fake on that.
It is real. Football, comma, etc. And
Yes.
you know what's funny is I saw the name Football Head in the wild. So I went on Spotify, typed in Football Head, and Football, etc. also came up. And I was like, we got to use them. I got to use them in this segment.
I've never heard anything by either Football Head or Football, comma, etc. I wonder how you come up with those as band names.
I think that's the search. I think it's the search, like a football, etc. Maybe. Okay, cool. That one's not taken.
Yes.
Yeah, the thing is with these bands is I gotta believe they just don't care. Like, you know, they're not worried about like printing it on merch or getting signed. It's just, hey,
Right.
here we are. This is us.
We need a banner. Like, this is what we're gonna use.
Yeah, that's what
people
we're
can
gonna
find it. All right, so I'm up to nothing.
Next one, World's Greatest Dad.
Interesting. Nate, you want to go first this time?
I've struck out twice, but I'm gonna go real just because it would be good merch because it's already being made. So
Yeah, those T-shirts already exist, don't they?
Yeah,
I'm gonna say
they're at
fake.
Five Below at the main mall. Yeah,
I'm gonna say fake.
it is real.
Damn.
It's a real.
2-1.
So Nate's on the board. Nate's got 1. Tony's got 2. Next
Do
one.
either of you have a World's Greatest Dad T-shirt? Whether it be
No,
the
'cause
band
I
or
am
just
not.
because
I am
World's Greatest Dad?
No.
Okay, me either.
Next one, Shred Flintstone.
Oh man, I want this to be real so bad, but I feel like you made it up. Fake.
I'm gonna go fake. But yeah, it could be one of those like cool like Max Sabbath like type tribute bands.
Yes.
So Tony's gonna insert the noise. That is
it's real.
That's real.
Oh.
Shred Flintstone. And you know what? They came up as a like recommended on Spotify, recommended if you like type of things for one of those other bands. I think it was World's Greatest Dad. Shred Flintstone came up.
Wow.
I mean, awesome band name. Talk about a band vantage.
Jeez. If you ever put multiple choice quizzes together for your kids or whatever, they're gonna strike out just because of the reverse psychology. So far, everything's real. It's like,
Yeah.
there's gotta be a fake one.
Yeah, you got to pepper in some real and fake ones here. So the next one is the Moist Towelettes.
That's gotta be fake.
That's fake. Yeah, that's fake.
Real.
That's a real band? No shit.
No way.
Moist Towelettes. Yep.
Oh,
Wow.
man.
Wow. Are these all real?
I'm gonna come right back with another one. Moist Towelette, singular.
Fake.
There's another band? No, that one's fake.
You guys both got that right. That's
All
fake.
right. Oh, good.
Or tied up, I think, right? 2 and 2.
I think it's 3-2, me, but
3-2.
that's okay. That's okay. We're having fun. I'm not competitive.
This next one, Liquid Mike.
He's real.
Yeah,
Nate's in deep knot.
I think I'll go real on that one.
It is real.
Seems like-
Liquid Mike.
yeah.
And I think they had a pretty big tour. They were on.
Yep.
Actually, was it the Wonder Years gig?
Yes,
they
I
opened
think
for
you're
that.
right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I don't know what made me search them, but I was like, I remember that name, Liquid Mike. Next one, Window Pane, but Pain is Pain.
Ooh. Are they Eminem fans?
Window Pane.
I guess that's why they call it window pane.
Ooh. Great lyric, by the way.
It is. It is. I'm gonna say that's a fake band.
No pain. Yeah, that's fake.
It is fake. I thought of that today.
Nice. I like
thought
it.
of that today.
Good. Yeah.
Ooh, so it's on the table. You should register it.
Window Pane. T-Pain.
Yeah. These are all ours. All the fake ones so far. The one fake one, or 2 fake ones are ours. Podioslave LLC.
So I got one left, and the name is Private Banquet.
That's real.
I think it's fake.
That is a fake band name, and I jacked that from a group chat that Tony's in. Someone, I literally scoured a group chat and I scrolled, and then I saw I'm attending a private banquet, and I'm like,
Is that Yanni?
I
Probably.
think it was.
It's a good band name though. So
So
yeah.
5-3. That's it. Tony wins.
Yeah.
Tony
Sorry,
wins.
Nate.
Little abbreviated, but I think we get some good ones in there.
Band name
Yeah.
real or fake, always fun, and I can't wait to cut this and put it on social media.
I win!
Shit.
I win! 1-0.
Man, let's name our band Private Banquet. It's a great name. Great band
I'm
name.
going to check out PB tonight, bro. Are you in?
Oh, Private Banquet, bro. They're playing Roadrunner.
You've got to be. I mean, it's private. Like, well, not everybody gets to go.
Well, have you guys heard of that band Parquet Floors or something?
Parquet
Parquet
Courts?
Court or
Yeah.
something?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like that. Like I could see them opening for them.
Agreed. That is that would work. A private banquet on the Parquet Courts.
Boston Garden Flooring. I don't know. That's basic.
All right. Cool.
Here's
cool.
the thing, disclaimer. If we started a band, we'd have the same problem. It would be something like that. Everything
Well,
good has
we
been
did.
taken.
We started
I
a
know, we
band. It
did.
was the podcast, and we ended up with Podioslave because I jokingly sent it to the text, and here we are, almost 5 years later, with the same name.
Yeah, that is the legacy.
So yes, Tony, quiz for you. Do you know the last band name Real or Fake episodes? What numbers?
Man, it's been a long time since we did a band name Real or Fake. Shit, it was the three of us, so we're going back probably early 2023 was the last time we did one.
It's a couple years, I think, or a year and a half. Yep.
Yeah. So
I don't know the answer. I was just
I
testing.
don't either. I'd have to look. There's now too many episodes back there with too much stuff. Like there are ones that stick out. Like I remember Peanut from 311 was number 70. Stuff like that sticks out. But there's a lot of content back there. We've been doing this for a while.
I appreciate the honesty because Tone could just like throw out 2 episodes. Me and Twan would be like unbelievable. Fucking this guy's amazing. Rain Man over
He's
here.
full of shit. He's actually full.
I've been full of shit my whole life. So
Well, you know what this reminds me of is when we had Jason DeVore of Authority Zero. He's like, I think we played like 6,000 shows. And while we were having that convo, I was like, no fucking way. There's no way. Like the math ain't mathin'. But the math, I think, is mathin'. Like,
Wow.
I don't think he's far off.
no, and I mean, as long as he's been doing it, 30 plus years at this point, and
30 years. I mean, if you're, I know there's a couple of years that were a wash, but if you're like 200 shows, that's 6,000.
Yep, and there are probably years it was 250 shows. They probably played 5 nights a week for a lot of the year, just to get their name out there, and they're not the only bands that have done stuff like that. And Authority Zero being the one we're talking about here, but plenty of bands did that in the early days when that's all there was. The only way to get found was to just play and play and play and play and hope somebody saw you.
Hey, we struggle to get one episode out a week. I mean, it's not our gig though. This is a very part-time gig.
And it's easy from home. Dude, it's funny when you said that because I listened to that episode and I was like, there's no fucking way that adds up. But when I lived in St. Petersburg, Florida, they used to play a bar that I used to go to like almost like bi-weekly in St. Petersburg. So, and that wasn't even considered like an actual concert. But if they're adding like those bar gigs plus concerts and festivals.
Oh yeah, all those. The Edge and Augusta.
You gotta count them. Yeah. Well, Frank Turner, he's been doing it a long time, and he is pushing 3,000 now, I think. Shows.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think he counts stuff like that, or like the story we got from Chris Wren, the backyard. I think that counted. That was a night where he had 2 shows, because I mean that's been immortalized in vinyl form from our friends at Bridge 9. But I mean, and that's a dude that all he does is play shows. Like he is never not touring. So pretty wild to have that many shows under his belt too.
Plus, there's bands out there that play 2 gigs in one day, so they can stack up. If you're hot at the time, you're playing a festival day slot, and then you're playing a headliner gig like 2 cities over.
He did that. Speaking of Frank Turner, he did that when he did the 50 states at the beginning of like the end of the pandemic, as far as shows were concerned. He played Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Oh, that's right.
His first show in the afternoon, and then came to Portland, Maine, and played Aura. And they had just flown to America, so they were like super jet lagged and put on a phenomenal show. So bands definitely do that, Nate. You're right.
Well, there's internet sleuths out there that are thinking My Chemical Romance might do that with the LA Warped Tour date and the LA, I don't know, stadium date. I don't know what venue it's at, but like it's on the same day. So
Dodger Stadium, I think.
Is it? Jesus.
They're playing a bunch of baseball stadiums, so I think Fenway was one, and yeah, it's crazy, and I hope so. That'd be cool for the people out that way. I don't, Nate, if you're there, you got to try to get to one of them, man. Hit up Kevin.
Yeah. Actually, sidebar on that, because I've been seeing these stadium shows. They announced Lincoln Park at Dodger Stadium, those My Chem shows, and we were kind of geeking out in our group chat earlier, just like Live Nation, some metrics that I'm privy to and whatnot. And I'm like, I wonder, like, is My Chemical Romance of stadium stature? I don't know. Like, I know it's a comeback. I know it's a big album.
Blind demand, man.
It's got to be, right? Because there's only so many headliners left. So I feel like...
I mean, I think they sold out Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah.
I think Thursday might have played those gigs.
Yeah.
It's a supply and demand thing. And what I always go back to is there was an era that I missed from like '04 to '07, the Hot Topic crowd.
Yeah.
There's a generation just below us where that's their Beatles.
Yeah.
That's their Led Zeppelin.
I love like 5 songs off of 3 Cheers, and that's about it for me with that band. But those songs are awesome, like The Ghost of You and Helena, and there's some really good songs there. But I can see how, if that's one of the first bands you kind of latched onto, how they might have changed your life. You see what I did there, boys?
Oh, dang.
Wait, hold on. What's that smell? The Segway King?
Oh, that's oh.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, I can see how that band might have been your band, right? If and then they don't do a ton and took a little bit of a break or whatever. I do think that, and this is not a knock on them, this is just the way the game is nowadays. All of their tickets, quote unquote, sold out, but a lot of it's secondary market, and it's going to be real expensive to try to get into some of those shows. So good luck to anybody whose band was My Chemical Romance and they want to go see them at one of those stadiums.
Yeah, save those pennies. That's an expensive one. And yeah, I mean, actually, I've only been to one stadium show. It was Eminem in Australia. It's fun if you're in the right spot. If you're not in the right spot, you're kind of sitting in a stadium listening to a soundtrack is basically what it is.
Yeah, you can't see
go
stuff.
to the show.
Yeah.
Experience it for yourself.
Yeah, I've been to 3. Nate, you've probably been to a few.
I've been to a bunch, yeah. But I can kind of echo that sentiment, which is you're there because, you want to be there. You could say you were there or whatever. Like I saw AC/DC at Dodger Stadium. I was like, I'm going to fucking seeing AC/DC at Dodger Stadium. This is rad. But, it's nosebleed as it gets. So it's like, is it worth it? Yeah, I got to see AC/DC. That's about it,
Yeah.
It's still expensive.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. Blanket Fenway for me, Bruce Springsteen at Gillette, and then Green Day at Gillette with you, Nate.
Yep. I was going to say where we randomly thought we were going to get deep cuts. We were like, oh, dude, we're going to get some shit from Insomniac.
Yeah, we get the same show we saw earlier that year. But I mean, awesome show. It was just, we'd already seen it in Portland at the Civic Center like 4 months prior. All right, let's do it. Let's dig into it. Bands that changed our life.
And that's a bold. I've thought about this a lot. We made the decision to have this topic a few days ago.
Yep.
And actually, it was my wife that she texted me. She goes, "Bands that change your life," with no context. And she doesn't typically send like podcast CDs, but she heard it on the radio, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And I responded immediately with the band I'm going to talk about. But it got me thinking, and I sent it to the group chat because like every band, we in podcasts we have a group chat. And you guys were in. So let's start with what does that mean? Because it's pretty heavy to say something changed your life. Like it's dramatic to me. And there's a lot of ways it could change it.
Yeah.
It could be that it's sucked up a lot of your time. It could be it changed the way you think about stuff. It could be there's a gateway. It could be the first. What does it mean? That's the question.
What's it mean to you, Nate?
I mean, context is key, right? Drink.
Stair steps, umbrella, drink, bingo card. Let's go.
It's a great question. In fact, when you brought it up, my mind was going through like crazy time travel on, what band or bands changed my life and what kind of weight does that carry? Because a lot of bands, the songs will change your life. The way you woke up that morning will change your life. So like, it's got to really be worthy. And I think the problem with the podcast is we really, try to distill it into like the maximum, like the paramount, like what are the 2 or what are the 3 or whatever. So it's got to be something that holds a lot of water. And I think it comes down to like memory association. I think like what you mentioned earlier, the pathways and kind of portals that it brings you into, whether it be a new scene or whatnot. And that was kind of how I brought this to my knowledge or from my homework.
For me, it was more, what have I spent the most time with, whether it be live or, it's just a band that I've continued to maybe put on this pedestal. Every time they come around and try to get tickets, maybe they don't come around anymore, and I just make sure to revisit their catalog, any of those types of things. Just or a band that I remember where I was when I first heard them, and I remember thinking, holy shit, this is going to change everything. Like, this is my new favorite thing. I'm stuck here. And still feeling that way maybe 20 years later, 25 years later, depending on the band or the artist.
I love that. Nate, you said like time spent and maybe change interests, and that's kind of where I came from. It's like I actually asked, like I first asked myself, has music in general changed my life? And the obvious answer is yes. Like we have a podcast, 250 fucking episodes. Like out of anything we could be spending our time with, like kind of extra time, we're choosing this, right? I've been to like 500 shows. Like that's time investment. I still have that hunger for new music. And like that all stemmed from somewhere. So then I was like, all right, where did that stem from? So I actually came tonight with one band, just one.
Do we want to have you lead off, or do we want to put you like sandwiched in the middle of Nate and I with a couple?
Save me, and you guys might have the band, but yeah, it's a big change. Like it changed it. It was for the best. I don't know. That's another conversation. Because honestly, if it wasn't this band, who knows? I might have saw a movie in this era that would have changed me, and then I would have I would have been a movie head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And we'd be having the movie podcast. But it was a band, and it changed everything. So I will go last. How about that?
Wow, last. All right, Nate. I guess you're gonna go first because I want to see what you got.
I was gonna say I want to go second because it might be Twan's band, but I'll go ahead and roll.
I think it is, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll with it regardless. I'm gonna roll right with it.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
It's Rage Against the Machine. It was the first band that came to mind when you texted me. I was just like, I just did like a quick blink, and I was like, yeah, I mean that
Quick
band.
Blink is a blink too.
No,
are you indecisive right now?
Yeah, I actually am indecisive by nature, but no, it's definitely Rage Against the Machine. Circa 1996, I guess, maybe 95, because I had friends that were playing VHS tape bootlegs of their performances back in the day.
Did you steal my notes? Like I have bullet points for this.
Oh, dang. That's why
the band.
I figured.
But
that's
you
why
go first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Mike A, good friend of ours, his brother. I think I've talked about this a few times on the pod. But I was a pretty casual music fan. I had a Free Willy soundtrack. I had Nirvana Unplugged. I had Pearl Jam 10, a few other records, or CDs for that matter. And it was just casual, Green Day Dookie, a bunch of stuff. But something about Rage Against the Machine was just so much more monumental. Lyrical content. I think the fact that we were just going with the flow in the education system, again, like we always say, no knock on this or that, especially the education system, but it just seems so regimented. And then listening to Zach's lyrics and looking through the booklets as a full-on geek and seeing book lists and contradictions that you're like, you have a developing brain and you're hearing things that completely contradict the narrative, and you're just like, but he's saying it with such conviction.
Let me ask you something. Did you have that, and did you see that or hear that in the moment?
I think I did, because
at 12.
I only did because I had an older brother, and Mike A's older brother, and a few other people that were kind of paying attention in a different concentration. It was like, okay, like they clearly, he's wearing this Free Momia shirt. Like, what is that? And then we'd go watch the video on what Free Momia is. I'm like, oh, this guy's like imprisoned for no reason. That's fucked up, So it really elevated my whole intelligence level on like real world free thought. And that was, I think, the core reason as if this is music, but it's also like a movement. This is the stuff you hear about in the 60s of like revolting against Vietnam and stuff. But this is like my era. This is crazy. Like this is really happening in real time. Like unbelievable. But like the book list.
And on the big stage.
Mm-hmm.
And on a big stage. That's the thing. It's like, it's not like Chris Link seeing a hardcore band at Zeus. Like this is on the biggest stage. You're witnessing this.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like a paradigm shift, right?
Totally. 100%. And it all comes down to, and obviously the band is cohesive as a unit, but Zach's conviction, and I think Spose had mentioned it when he saw them at Madison Square Garden. There's a conviction that Zach, the singer for Rage, has where he's speaking on a level that's so dialed, and he means it, and he breathes it, and his eyes are on fire. He's like, no, this is fucked up, and we demand change. He's like a Bernie Sanders on a different level. But those live performances, it adds that much more value to the songs. It's like, this isn't just entertainment. This is like this band is trying to create a movement. And I think they did. I think they were successful in that. And I think as a fan, as a kid, as a child, I was like, this is the stuff I saw in Forrest Gump about, like, like I said earlier, protesting Vietnam, but this is like my era. And I'm just learning about this in school as it's happening. And it just it doesn't follow what we're learning. So that makes it even more intriguing. So yeah, Rage Against the Machine changed my life in the moment, 1995, and call it 96. I was hooked, and it was hard for me to take history class and a lot of the curriculum in the education process seriously from that moment on.
Man, that's my pick too. As soon as my wife texted me, I was like, that is the band for me. And actually similar, I mean, I have bullet points for this. Like, I took this like super serious. I'm like, this is the band. Like, would there have been another band maybe down the road or in that era? Maybe, but I don't think so. And you said a few things that I kind of had on my list of, because all this boils down to is like, yeah, you can say any band name, but then it's the why or how. Why do they change it? How do they change it? And for me, I think so. In '96 is when I got into Rage. It was the Evil Empire tape. It's been chronicled on this podcast a few times. And it gets down to like, in that moment, I always think back to like what I was into. It was MTV hits. It was radio hits. It was like jock jams and MTV Party to Go and that shit. And that was all manufactured. Like, it kind of showed me that art didn't have to be a product. And like, you could even, like a Picasso painting, like that's, yeah, maybe in the moment it was art, but it became a product. Like, this was, yes, it was on Epic Records. Yes, it was on the biggest stage, but it was a little different. And even like at 11, I could kind of sniff that out. And it wasn't meant to move units. There's no way. Given all their backgrounds, it was not meant to move units. And you can say whatever you want about, they are the machine now, whatever. But it was anti-pop. And the reason I questioned, like, did you know the meaning at the time? Is I didn't. Like, I knew that there was compassion and conviction in Zach, and it was coming from a place that was not Blur Song 2 or No Doubt Tragic Kingdom. I don't know. I'm just spitballing it of that era, but like the optics of the band, even the cover of Evil Empire, that's cut from a different cloth. And you open up the booklet and it's Anarchist Cookbook. And I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what the fuck that was. And the Free Mumia books. I went on, like, actually in college, I went on a whole Free Mumia. I think all of us did. You get the books and the documentaries and stuff, but I'm going to throw a food analogy at you. Up until that point, I just had Domino's pizza. But when Rage came, it was like authentic Italian cuisine. It was made with love and care and like experience and stuff. And I don't know. It was different from what we were used to. And I just latched onto it. I don't know. There's something about it. It was authentic. It was even 11, and Nate, you were probably 15 back then because you're old as hell, but we knew it was different. Like, I don't know. And we just latched onto it. And I always go back to, if it wasn't them, would it have been someone else? I don't know. I don't have that answer, but like, that's where the hunger started, where it was like, all right, there's more than just a pop hit here. Because that's all we knew. Yeah. That's all I knew. Quad City DJs, like, come on, ride the train. And then you hear Bulls on Parade. It's a fucking different whole thing.
Yeah. Different world. Yeah. Well, I had this band as well. I'm staring at some information on my second screen here. So we're all thinking the same thing starting this. I feel very similar to both of you. I'm not sure I knew everything, but I didn't have an older brother. I am the older brother, but I had an older cousin. So he's 3 years older than me. So we got this when we were, 10, 11 years old. He's 14, 15, starting in high school, starting to hear different things, be around different people, and was trying to impart some of that wisdom onto me. Again, reading the liner notes and looking at the pictures in Evil Empire. And you said something, Twan, that it wasn't a product. I think it was, but it wasn't a product without a purpose. It was a product with a purpose. There was a reason for everything they did.
Yeah.
And did they start out with that vibe? Probably weren't trying to. It ended up just catching on, right? Everybody, that first record, the self-titled record, people went nuts for. And because of that, they became this band for so many people of our age and maybe a little older than us, and some a little younger, but definitely our age and a little older, that meant more than just listening to music. You know, you put this on with a purpose too, right? You weren't listening to Rage Against the Machine just to vibe out. You're putting it on to be challenged and hear some stuff that you weren't hearing from anybody else, whether it be, you know, vocals or music. All that stuff wasn't, it happened in other places, but it didn't happen this way. This band did it for us in a way that no other band ever did, and I don't think anybody else ever will. Like, it's been done now, and it's them. There are a lot of bands in the punk world that did stuff, hardcore world that did stuff similar, but put all of it together into this blender, and you get Rage. And there aren't too many bands that could do it. And right now, if you do it, you sound like a knockoff. And there wasn't much happening before that. So I'm with you guys. This is a band that certainly piqued my interest as an 11, 12-year-old. And I didn't understand it at first, but obviously the benefit of almost 30 years of time and paying attention to stuff and reading stuff and seeing what those guys are, you know, stand for, and understand, not walking in their shoes, but understanding there's a reason they do what they do, and, and you know, respecting absolutely. That they do that, and have, you know, turned it into this massive, I guess, machine, as you would say. Yeah, that's a big one for me too. So we've all knocked one out.
I mean, I get more bullets here.
Go for it.
For me, it exposed me to a whole new world of music, whole new world. And would I always ask myself, not always, but I've thought about it, like, would I have found it otherwise? I think I would have. But the Renegade, I mean, I've talked about this before, the Renegades album, Minor Threats on there, like, that was, all right, this is cool, I'm gonna go check those guys out. Or like, Zach was in Inside Out, and I didn't know that in 96, but maybe in 2002 he was in Inside Out and Hard Stance, and he had a stint in Far Side, and then you deep dive that and you realize Rev put out the People of the Sun EP. Then you go on I remember in like 2004, I was like, I'm going down this Rev rabbit hole. And that, without Rage, would I have gotten there? Probably, but that was the catalyst. And it kind of got me into heavy music. Like, I knew heavy music, but this was approachable. You know, I don't think I've ever used the word approachable with Rage, but it was approachable. You know, it was digestible. I mean, not every song is Tire Me. Tire Me is a fucking hardcore song.
Yeah.
But not everything is Tire Me. So it kind of unlocked this whole new world where, yeah, game changer. And it also, like, that was the first band that actually kind of felt mine, you know? And not that we discovered them. They weren't a major in 96. Like, they were on MTV. The first time I think I ever saw Rage was on MTV, Bulls on Parade. But like, optics, sound, message, you come to find out later the history of the band, it's like, my God, how many bands have that going for them? You know, no one.
Yeah, dude, so much. Both of you guys had a lot of amazing points that are resonating with, you know, my notes and just my memories. But in terms of like the band moving units or being on a major, which is Epic, which is Sony, which at the time in the 90s was the biggest label in the game as far as I can tell. But there's a reason for that. And I don't think it's the band, quote, selling out, or I think it's just, if anything, because the band has always been in very much control of their direction, clearly, to say these things on record and in the artwork and in the booklets, you have clearly full artistic freedom. Otherwise, that shit would have been censored all day, you know? This is the 90s. You're talking about, like, it was a very much a time of, again, kind of parallel to like the late 60s, 70s of like anti-war, but 90s was very like anti-capitalism. You know, Pearl Jam was part of that movement too. It was in Newsweek. I remember seeing it all over the place. Like, so it was like very much part of the scene or the era then. So Rage Against the Machine signing to Epic wasn't so much a sellout move as the band maybe thinking, hey, we are in control of our own thing. We have the opportunity to get this message out in the biggest way possible. So they're probably sifting through offers. Epic is the biggest one. So let's take this platform. They're going to give us artistic control. We'll get to the masses via MTV, all these things, not for the fame, but to get that message across 100% to as many people, to all three of us, in the most organic way, and in a way, because that's what was popping off at the time, is MTV and the radio and all those mediums, magazines.
They were cryptic too.
Yeah,
in the messaging. Exactly. You know, it's like, if you came out and said, hey, all cops are racists, it wouldn't have cleared. But it was guised, you know, kind of hidden in there. Yeah. And I mean, I don't think I'd ever heard that message until them, no. You know.
And the message isn't just F the cops, because it's not like there's some good cops out there. It's specific to like a story that you can research. It's not just
some
F
of
the
those
police.
that work forces. Right.
Yeah, but it's really tied to like some real. That's why I love the Live and Rare album, because it really he tells the story and then they jump into the song. And then as a geek, as a nerd, even back then, you're like, wait, what is that story? And then you start researching the riots from back in LA, and like, I didn't even know this was happening.
I can confirm Nate did have Live and Rare in '99.
He did.
When we ran cross country in '99, Nate had Live and Rare, and it was like a $35 thing.
Dude,
it wasn't cheap, man.
It was like 45, I think, at Bull Moose. It's a lot.
Yeah. Newberry. I remember they had it at Newberry, and I was like, that was like my grail as like a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah, because you didn't know that you had the money. You never have the money to buy it. Like today, you'd be like, if I really want that, I can go get it. But not always, but sometimes. But at that price, $30-$35 when you're 14, that's a lot of fucking money.
Dude, adjusted for inflation, that's like $90 right now.
Yeah.
For a CD.
So this episode was just an excuse to like have a second Rage Against the Machine episode.
Well, this is the first time I think we've just dove headfirst into how we feel about the band. Like we've done songs, we did the draft, right? And then we talked about it with Spose when he went to see them. But I don't know that we've talked about the Renegades record, right? We did a segment on that when that turned 24 years ago. But I don't think we've ever given like thoughts on it. So we finally did it. 240 something episodes in, boys. We got there.
But it's true. Like that band did change everything. Like that's where the music fandom started. So, for us to dedicate, I don't know, 10 hours a week doing this, at least for Tony and I, like recently, it's like had to start somewhere. It was with them. It wasn't from listening to Quad City DJs or Keith Sweat or whatever I was listening to in 95. It was this, man.
Yeah, I'd agree.
And you know what? The Third Eye Blind CD in my Easter basket helped too.
Yeah, Third Eye Blind, Matchbox 20. What else is in there? Had a couple.
The Wayne's World cassette.
Wayne's World cassette. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in that. Those were pretty awesome.
That was multiple years.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was all the same one.
Mariah Carey's Daydream. Yeah, that was in there. I think
not Glitter. You didn't get Glitter.
Yeah.
I think what it comes down to is the change my life element, which is for this music, right? If it's like a book, it's like Kurt Vonnegut, something like that. If it's a movie, it's something of
Club.
Substantial value for me. It's like Schindler's List was a game changer for me just because I didn't know the depth of World War II and at that level, and that came out when we were kids too. So yeah, Rage Against the Machine, man, changed clearly all three of our lives.
Yeah, great. I'm glad we finally did that because it has been kind of hanging over us as a thing to talk about in that vein since we started the podcast. So can
I pause this real quick?
Yeah.
Keep this in there. Just got a text from an old roommate that sent me a photo of a Podioslave sticker. And the text was from a urinal in Medford.
Yep.
And it was
deep cuts.
Ready for this? It was a different roommate.
Oh, nice. Somebody else saw it. Nice.
Yep.
Shout out Deep Cuts in Medford, Mass. Shout out Ryan. No, that's cool. But yeah, that was a long time coming. I'm glad we did it. All right, let's not to switch gears, but to switch gears because we can do another bit. Maybe each Nate and I can give one more quick one or a little bit and give it a couple minutes and go from there. Nate, give us your second.
Damn, I have a lot here. You can probably hear the pages flipping.
Here, I'll get one. I can get one.
Okay.
Yeah, you be ready for yours next because that'll be what closes us out. I struggle with picking a few of these because there are just so many. I could be like, yeah, I spent a ton of time here. I spent a ton of time there. I remember hearing this artist and thinking to myself, oh my God, I will remember this forever. We actually had that conversation at the end of last year at Rob's house when we did Perfect Songs. We talked about Eminem and how My Name Is kind of popped off. And we're all like, it was our generation's Smells Like Teen Spirit. Rob had Smells Like Teen Spirit because he's older than us. We had My Name Is like, oh my God, the world's never going to be the same. And while I did enjoy that, I did grow out of it. It didn't stick with me. It's not a band. I love Eminem. I still check out stuff when he does it. But, the early stuff hit us at the right time, similar to what we talked about Blink a few weeks ago. I'm going to go with Atmosphere as my second and final, because I've seen Atmosphere. I've spent the most time watching Atmosphere live. And I think I just bought tickets to, my 17th show next year. So, yeah, I've seen that band since 2003. Fall of 2003 is the first time I saw them down in Boston. I've gone to the Roxy or whatever they call it now in Boston probably 4 or 5 times, a couple times a Unate. I've seen him in Portland at the State probably 4 or 5 times. Seen him outdoors in Portland at Thompson's Point, the Asylum back in the day, the Space Gallery, which is a tiny little hole in the wall in Portland. All over the place. Yeah, all over the place over the course of, 20 years now for me. I found Atmosphere fall of freshman year of college. Everybody was gone. And it was when people were digging into emo and My Chemical Romance, not to call back earlier in the episode, but I was digging into God Loves Ugly and Seven's Travels, kind of emo rap. And it just spoke to me in that moment. And, I was alone, not a lot. I had friends that were around, but bless of my friends were around because a lot of you went away to college and I stayed home to go to a local university. And I was just trying to find my way still and started just listening to Atmosphere, finding shows to go to. And, 21 years later, seen him a million times, run into Ant, the beat maker, in the bathroom at Brian Baru's back in the day. And actually at his show, the show they were at last time in Portland was at the State Theater. And he was just up in the back bar talking to a random fan. And I saw our buddy Mike D. And I was like, hey, dude, follow me. Went over and just dapped him up and said, hey. And he recognized me because we've run into each other like 7 times over the course of the 20 years because I've gone to a million shows. So it's just a band that while I don't listen to the newer music as much as the older stuff, I still love when stuff comes out. And I always find something to vibe with on the new stuff. And I've spent so much time watching them live and just being part of a crowd that I've always felt kind of at home in.
Man. Well, so we've done Rage, we've done Atmosphere. I think in both those cases, it's unique in delivery, it's unique in message, at least to you at the time. And in both those cases, there's a history there. Like, I know you, Tone, you deep dove the Rhymesayers catalog.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there was, like, that changed everything, right? Like, if it ended at Atmosphere, maybe they wouldn't have had that impact. But they get this crew, this, like, Midwest Minnesota crew. Like, we're from fucking Maine. You know what I mean? It's this whole kind of conglomerate. And I can understand how this changed, because you go in that deep dive, and then, I mean, how many Rhymesayers gigs have I been to you with? Several.
Geez, yeah, a handful. And
Doomtree,
yeah,
Dessa.
Yep. POS, all those.
POS.
Sims came through. Other folks that have been canceled have come through that we went to. Just, you're right. Without finding God Loves Ugly in 2003, and then jumping into Seven's Travels and Lucy Ford and just deep dive in the catalog. Well, at that point, what was out, we don't go to all those because I then deep dive Rhymesayers and all the stuff that's on the label and find the stuff that I really like, and a lot of that stuff would come through, would hit the Northeast, whether it be Boston or Portland in a lot of cases, and I miss those times because it doesn't happen as much, but Atmosphere still comes through. They tour all the time, and they find a way to Portland on whatever leg of the tour they're on.
Yeah, there's a lot there to unpack, which is, well, 2 things that came to mind. One is something Twan said actually just now, which is we're from Maine. The band's from Minnesota, right?
Yep.
And there is a relatability there. Obviously, cold weather, land in the cold air, one of the lines on one of the songs. But also the lyrical content is very relatable. Like, we all are hip hop heads at the end of the day. But like Atmosphere is like an Eminem, but like a Portland, Maine Eminem. Like there's a localization like element. Like, oh, he's talking about things that like are just like normal average Joe stuff. Like we always talk about Third Eye Blind is, just a normal dude, Stephen Jenkins. So like Slug or Sean Daly, like talking about things that are like, oh, dude, I've dealt with that. And we talked about it in the Blink episode, like growing up in high school. Like there's some similar, like just casual, yeah, this is normal shit. But, there is a struggle there, or there is happiness in this and that. And Atmosphere is that. And it's on a very artistic level, but articulated in a way that's like, oh, wow, like I feel them. Like I feel them, and it permeates in the music and the beats and the organic presentation and optics of Atmosphere. I actually almost wrote that one down too for all these reasons, and came out at the perfect fucking time. Obviously, we were playing catch up with Lucy Ford and God Loves Ugly and whatnot. But as soon as Seven's Travels dropped, and I dug into that record, I'm like, dude, this is where it's at, because there's a sincerity there, which is like Marshall Mathers, but even more so because we can completely relate with it.
Yeah, it's like I don't hate my mom,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? And like I didn't grow up in LA,
yeah.
So it's like I can understand that. There's relatability
Exactly.
goes a long way.
Absolutely, and you're right. The Minnesota / Maine connection, it's a very similar, I think, situation, and wrapped about a lot of the same stuff that we saw where we grew up, and a lot of like relationship stuff, and just it was early on, especially songs like God Loves Ugly and a song about a friend off that record. Man, just that line, can't even be friends, it's a song about a friend. I fucking felt that so much in 2003, 2004. So, yeah, I mean, I'm happy now. I'm fine, I'm over it. But back then, when you're 19 and have a lot of feelings and don't know where to put them, this music was the place for me. And this is a band that, a rap group that did it for me.
So let me ask you this. I know the story, like you found them in Bull Moose. Would you have found them otherwise?
Probably. I did.
I think so.
When I remember bringing them up for a few friends who liked hip hop at the time, and them knowing them a little bit. I didn't get as deep into them as I ended up going, but they're like, "Oh yeah, I've heard this and I've heard that," and they knew a few other things and pointed me in a direction of another band. So yes, I probably would have found them. Would I have found them and loved them to the same level? I don't know. I don't know if that's. I mean, everything happens for a reason, I suppose, right?
Well, that organic way, like it gets back to kind of what it was with Rage. It was like they were mine. You know what I mean? Like I didn't discover them because they were a major, but like at the time, no one I knew was into them. In that sense, like there's a whole new, I don't know, connection.
Damn. Yes. Good. All right, Nate. Let's close this out here.
One more thing on that is
Let's hear.
is the timing, because like you said, like the timing of everything is so paramount, because you could latch onto the Roots with them as like a backing band on the Late Show, or you could find out from them, and I'm not to like toot my horn or everything, but like from a live record, and then be like, damn, this fucking the Roots live record, like this band's fucking tight. And then you check out their full catalog, and that was at a party that I went to in 2002, I think. And I'm like, who is this band? The Roots. Oh fuck, they're dope. And then bam, I bought that live record first and then checked everything out. That's why I love live records, because you kind of get like a greatest hits type
Good live
set.
records. Good live records.
Good live records, yeah. The Roots live record is one of my favorites.
That is a great point, because no one hearing the Roots on the Late Show has ever said that band changed my life. There's no way.
They found them there, right?
Exactly.
It's when you got into them. It's, I don't know, like think of like so far. I mean, we've only, how many bands have we mentioned? 2 so far.
Yes,
2 bands.
2.
It's all when we were like under 20. You know what I mean? Like we're still forming ourselves and we're still learning. And, in 03, had I ever heard anything like Atmosphere? I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think it existed.
Yeah, the hip hop that we probably knew at that point was, Dre, Biggie, Pac, Snoop, the stuff that was put in front of many eyeballs, and for good reason, Eminem, and for good reason. But those were all in majors and all big albums, and had been, some of them were established at that point. You weren't finding underground hip hop at that point, until we get a little older and start digging. And I think that happens with a lot of different people at that age that are like us, that are music nerds. You just start finding as much as you can in different pockets of the country or the world that maybe resonate with you, that you didn't know about because it wasn't force fed to you from on high.
Well, it's the food analogy. Like Eminem was Domino's, and like, yeah, I love that garlic crust. Don't get me wrong, but man,
he's better than Domino's. But yeah,
and no shade to Eminem, but like an authentic Sicilian slice hits a little different than Domino's, but Domino's is convenient,
Yeah, there's a lot of convenience factor for
they all have a place.
Middle school, high school, everything was stuff that we could tangibly see in front of us instead of us digging for something new.
Has this episode just turned into like, remember we did that Game Changers episode? This is Game Changers Part 2.
Sorta. I mean, Rage is a game changer, but I'm not sure. I mean, Atmosphere kind of too. They've always been independent and built their own thing. So I think Seven's Travels came out on Epitaph, but it was through Rhymesayers still too. So, and that's not a major. Epitaph's independent.
Nate, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm delaying
and is it Pearl Jam?
Right.
I almost wrote that because that was a game changer, that did change my life, but I didn't put it down because I don't know, talked about them a lot, and they did change my life and a lot of things that I appreciate about music. But it actually wasn't the first one to come to mind. it was Rage. And second was the band System of a Down. And I think it's parallel in the fact that there's some messaging in the music that separates you from this isn't just entertainment. There's more to this. And I think maybe there's part of me that gravitates to that, seriousness of the music of like, oh God, this is worth looking into a little bit more. Like, what is he talking about? What is this? It's music first and foremost, true. But what is this like hand? I remember the first record was like a hand and the whole thing was turning into a fist and like revolting. And that had some
no lights, no music, right?
Just anger, no music, and just the parallels to Rage. I think maybe it was a step. Maybe it was one of those. What do you guys call it?
Stone step, yeah.
Stone steps. Come on, I thought you listened to the last
steps.
episode.
There's a beach down here called
Stone's Throw.
Stone Steps Beach here in Encinitas. But yeah, it's System of a Down, because I remember when I first got past the record or the CD in study hall in high school, and it's like, dude, check this out. And it was like this black and white record with an upside down American flag. So, and instantly I was like, there's some anti, American thing going on. Turns out it's just Rick Rubin's American label in print.
That's right. Yeah, that's true.
So it just happens to be the label. Put it in my Discman. I think this is 2000. So it's the first record, which dropped in 98. So it was already behind the times. Might have been 99, actually. Yeah, it was 99.
We listened to it in cross country, which was 99. I remember.
Okay, so it was 99.
We listened to it I listened to it in honors freshman English because we did a whole thing.
Honors, look at you.
Yes, I was smart kid. My teacher in that class, we did a whole exercise where everybody brought a song and the lyrics, and we like broke down the lyrics and listened to the songs. And somebody brought Spiders from that record.
Wow,
that's awesome.
So hey, study hall in high school was where you found out about shit.
Not English class.
No, okay. I thought you said study hall. That's where I found out about Hatebreed, freshman study hall. There was a girl that.
Someone passed you a CD?
No, I remember distinctly, like our study hall teacher, if you'd call him, I don't know, went around the room and like we introduced each other, like, I don't know, first day, and this girl was like, I like hardcore bands like Hatebreed. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I was like, it sounds aggressive. And that was the first time I ever heard of him.
This doesn't sound aggressive.
It is a Misfits song, Hatebreeders.
No, I clearly we love Hatebreed here. This is I'm just, when you're a freshman in high school and you hear Hatebreed, you're like, yeah, that does sound like it's probably a hardcore band. Cool.
I'm gonna go see him at Zoots. That's a 14-year-old.
Sorry, Nate. We derailed. We tangented there. Continue.
Yeah, we're tangenting.
The tangents. No, the tangents bring back the nostalgia factor. But yeah, I was past this record by an older guy, class above us, I think, Ricky S. Fucking legend in the scene, big metal.
Legend in the pit.
Legend in the pit, big time. Passed me the record. I remember seeing the fist or the open hand on the cover and being like, this is already a captivating cover. Put it in my Discman, played it, and just getting like completely lost in not only the lyrics, but the instrumentals and just guitar work and everything. I also remember thinking, I can't believe this music is happening. This fucking vocalist Serge is off the rails. Just wacky lyrics, especially the single, which I don't think the single got played on our radio, but Sugar is just all over the place.
They played Sugar. Yeah. So I played
Sugar.
Did
they play Sugar?
Yeah, not a lot.
That was the first song I ever heard.
Okay.
The kombucha mushroom people sitting around all day. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he had some wild and wacky stuff, and not there's nobody like him. So I'm with you there. Very captivating.
Very captivating. It just seemed such an interesting mix to have like this heavy music with this guy that's going through these vocal tempos. The way that like a lot of the liner notes that we would see would always attest to like their influence being Mike Patton of Faith No More and Phantomus and Tomahawk and all the bands that he's been in. Like, that's my guy. It's fucking Mike Patton. And I always thought Mike Patton was great, but that wasn't our era. For us, it's like, dude, this Surge guy is off the rails. He does whatever the fuck he wants. So that was like our Mike Patton. So that changed my life. I think between the music, Surge, the lyrical content, and obviously Toxicity came later, and it was off to the races after that. But that first record, man, as soon as it got past me, I had literally no idea about the band. I just saw the name, System of a Down. That's a cool name. This album cover's cool. The liner notes are all black and white, and luckily, not all booklets have the lyrics, so I'm following the lyrics as I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is really intriguing. Similar to Rage and those records. It's funny, right? Because both Rage Against the Machine and System of a Down, like, there's an educational element, and I'm listening to it in study hall, which is school. but it's a completely different educational program, and it's music and it's nerdery and it changed our lives.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of it that way, but like the learning that you do in school, especially around that age, isn't always from the classroom itself or from the teacher up front, right? You're learning from friends, you're learning how to deal with people, you're learning about music and different things that you might end up spending the next 25 years paying attention to, like we do with this. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Well, as you were talking, Nate, there is a theme with Atmosphere and Rage and System of a Down. And you could say the same about Deftones. And it's that it's more than the music. Like the lyrics require dissection. They're not straightforward. In fact, Deftones, you know, they're not straightforward. They're in a fucking spiral. Chino doesn't even know what the songs are about, you know? And like with Slug and with Serge and with Zach, it's cryptic. I think by design, they're creative people, you know? And that's very different than the pop, what was going on at the time. And again, has a band changed my life after 25 years old? No. There's a reason. We're still shaping, we're still forming, we're still learning. And I think with these bands, it's like, okay, this is a little different than a little left the center than what I'm used to. And it's not passive. It requires attention. Is there a passive Atmosphere fan? I don't think so. It's people that have fucking dissected every note, every lyric, every verse, all of it, every beat from Ant. And I think same thing with System. Mm-hmm. Although Toxicity it's Smoke self-titled. Just throwing that out there.
Agreed, but there were stair steps that got him there, and that was self-titled.
There was an elevator to the fucking penthouse right with them.
Yeah. Speaking of educational, Prison Song alone is like, fuck, what are they talking about?
I know,
oh,
right?
I didn't know prisons were privatized. Interesting. And that's like 2002. Like, I'm learning this.
I know those numbers are probably all off now, but it's still at the time we were like, what? What are you telling me? Let me listen to that again.
Why would a prison be privatized? That doesn't make any sense.
Why are they trying to build a prison for you and me to live in?
Yeah.
Well, I think we did a Toxicity, I think it was 20-year retro type of thing or whatever it was. And I think we equated it to like, what do we equate it to? Like a musical. Yeah. It was like a metal musical with like cryptic, very intentional cryptic lyrics. Nothing like that existed. And I'm already seeing a theme here.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You know, how many people would have said Coldplay changed their life? No one. You know what I mean? It's very.
It's not the greatest song of all time. It's not Coldplay.
Well, it's not Coldplay. It's not Fix You.
Chris Martin. Sorry, no shade intended. Yellow is a fucking masterpiece, but no one has said Clocks changed their life. Just saying.
It changed Chris Martin's life, but yeah.
And Gwyneth Paltrow's life. No, she was already established.
Yeah.
For Coldplay's credit, Talk is one of my favorite songs.
Talk is great.
Of all time. I think that fucking song rules. But yeah, it didn't change my life.
Fix You is also a great song.
Fix You is a great song.
It's a perfect song. It's on the list. It's on the list of perfect songs.
I love that. Yeah, Rage Against the Machine and Coldplay, same conversation.
Yeah, so I guess let's wrap it here. In closing, all of these things made all the three of us think, right? I mean, we all had rage. I think we could all safely say that System of a Down is a band that we've spent a ton of time with and had to dissect over. And I know I've dragged you guys to Atmosphere stuff, so I appreciate you guys digging into that with me over the years too. I know sometimes I can be a touch strong with that stuff, but I think you both enjoyed it.
Oh, dude, I've appreciated it.
Oh yeah,
since that space gig on. I think. Yeah, and all the gigs I've gone to, but that space gig especially, I just remember just because it's such a small room, and that was before Seven's Travels dropped, I think.
No, after. It was 2004, 2005. Tiny.
I lived in Portland, so it was 04 for sure.
Yeah, it was 04. It was like that font, like early in the year because it was cold.
Yep.
And that's the thing is like you could, not to extend this, but like it changed your life because all these kind of groups or bands were kind of larger than life, but you still see them. You know what I mean? I mean, Rage was later. But like System, I think we saw in 2002. Don't you? You said you saw Atmosphere 20 times. It wasn't like some huge. It wasn't like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Like they might come through Maine once in 20 years. Like you could actually, if you put in a little effort, you could probably see them.
Well, that was Rage, but yeah. They when was the last time they were in Maine?
Never.
30 years? Ever? Yeah, exactly. But you're right. At the time, those other bands you could definitely get to. So, cool. Thanks for checking in. And we'll put the call out to you guys. If you've made it this far into the episode and you have a band or bands that have changed your life, hit us up in the socials, DM us, whatever. We always down to talk music with anybody who's spent any time listening to us. So, hit us up.
And really think about it too, because everyone has a different story. Everyone has a different connection. Think about it, because it holds a lot of weight. It changed your life. So yeah, let us know.
Peace, potheads.
See ya.
Cheers, nerds.
Thank you for listening to Podioslave. We are at Podioslave on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places that you can find us on social media. Facebook, Podioslave Podcast. YouTube, Podioslave Podcast there. Email us at podioslavepodcast@gmail.com. And hey, if you want to become a supporter, click on the link at the bottom of the episode and give us $1, give us $5. It keeps the lights on, keeps us going. We really appreciate that stuff. Thank you.
Hey, do you want to just do any random shout outs? I don't know. I'm just spitballing.
For like,
I don't know, just something we're struggling to get going here.
Well, I just hit record, so I was going to get going.
All right, let's roll.
Okay.
Behind the nerd.
And that'll come at the end.
Hot mic.
Do you even nerd, bro?